Hi, Jason Spangler here, the SanteeSwapper, back with another unboxing. This one will be fun. A lady contacted me and I actually spoke to her while I was at scout camp. Thankfully I had cell phone reception. And what I found out is that her father was a professional scouter and he had passed away, and the family was looking for someone to sort of take ownership of his scouting memorabilia. And so we went back and forth. This one kind of drug out for several weeks as she kind of considered what to do with it and considered my offer. But eventually we did make a deal. I purchased the items and she mailed them to me in a box. When I saw these items, they were in a giant paper bag. That's how they were stored. So I have no idea how they are in the box. So I hope you'll enjoy this unboxing. Also, as a little bonus, I have one small envelope here, something that I bought from a gentleman that just has a couple of really nice patches in it. So I thought I would include that as well in this unboxing video. All right, well, this is what I saw inside that paper bag that she sent me. Now it's in here, just a whole box full of stuff. Looking forward to that. But let me start off with this envelope. As I mentioned, a gentleman reached out to me and he had just a handful of patches. Actually, originally only showed me 2 patches. They were the same patches. He had been in Kentucky and was a member of the Order of the Arrow, and he received this OA flap. This was the S1. We call that the S1 is the first solid issued flap from Mishawaka Lodge 435. And he had 2 of these. Now, luck would have it that that is actually a pretty rare flap. That lodge issued that flap and then later merged and went away. And so that's a pretty good looking flap. Those are pretty valuable. And so we worked out a deal. He also sent me these conclave patches. And again, he has 2 of them. So I was happy to get that. And then on top of that, just a little handful of rank patches and patrol patch and stuff, the kind of stuff that any scout would have. But those are items that I have plenty of. So I was very happy to get this OA Lodge flaps and also the conclave. The conclave will definitely go in my collection, and I'm gonna be keeping one of those flaps for sure. All right, now let's look at this collection from Utah. Okay, I don't know if she arranged these in any sort of logical order, and obviously, with a collection this size, I can't show you every bag, but I'll try to go through and maybe show you some interesting things that I think you'd like. So this looks kind of similar to what I often get. So here's a bag of sort of neckerchief slides and all kinds of maybe belt buckles and things like that. Again, if her father was a professional scout, there's probably a lot of variety here. I'm seeing some Philmont slides. I'm seeing some hand-carved wooden slides, Shift Scout Reservation, which would make sense if he was a professional scout. Here's a really unique one. I'll just pull this one out and show you. I tell you, the ingenuity of scouts back in the day. Look at that neckerchief slide. I mean, if you lived out in the West, that would be kind of a humdinger of a slide to have. Then there's also some really nice metal neckerchief slides. This one won't stand up very well, but I like these old ones that have the council name on them or maybe a camp name. I've also seen a couple of common Philmont ones that I've seen before, things like that. Here's a kind of a nice one from, again, Utah. So this just gives me more confirmation that her father was also from Utah. And then this one I really like. This is an aluminum neckerchief slide. These are that's definitely 1950s. Oftentimes you would see those at scout camps, and scouts would buy them in the trading post, and then they would paint them with enamel model paint as part of a sort of a handicraft project. But now these slides are kind of hard to come by. There's one from my camp, my home camp, and it's very hard to find. I've only ever seen 1 or 2 of them. All right, here we go with some belt buckles. Let's kind of see what's in this. This kind of feels like a belt buckle. Let's see what it is. Oh, where? Now that is really unusual. Take a look at that. There are a few people that are kind of famous for making original belt buckles in really small quantities. I can't claim that I know who the maker of that buckle is, but there's a lot of nice buckles in here that may have some interest to folks. And so again, we're seeing sort of a pattern here where all this stuff's going to be from out west, which is great. Plenty of collectors and scouters out there that would like to get these items kind of recycled to them. Then here's a belt buckle. I've never seen that one from South Central region. Philmont. So then again, a couple from that council out there. And then check out this Order the Arrow belt buckle. My friend Matt Delk might want to see that one. He might already have it. He has a big OA belt buckle collection. But that one's pretty cool. All right, this bag is full of miscellaneous pins and buttons and things like bullions. Now the bullion right there typically would have been worn by a professional scout. They would wear that on their Navy blazer. And so that also, of course, just backs up that this guy was definitely a professional scout, which is what she's already shared with me. There's a whole bag here of hat pins from the Great Salt Lake Council. Oftentimes when you have a professional scout, sometimes they were the person who was handing something out, like camporee patches or something. So I've run across this several times where it's not surprising to have a bag where it's a lot of the exact same thing. And maybe he was just the last guy who was handing those out and had some leftovers, and so there just wasn't anything else to do with them. Here's a really nice trail medal. Let's put that out there. And again, this must be a trail that's out in the west. I'll have to Google that one and look it up, but that's a nice pickup as well. All right, what to do next? Another bag full of patches. So let's just peek in here and see what we've got. I can already see off the top, here is a nice conclave patch from 1977. Seen a lot of random patches, some international, a few sewn patches, that's all right. This is kind of cute, this Snoopy patch. There's actually sort of a side collection a lot of people have is Snoopy patches, maybe Woodstock, maybe some people like Garfield. But see how it says your council name? So this was a sample patch that was made by the patch company. They would send these to councils because every year, you know, you'd have to make camporee patches and stuff. And so they would just sort of show that to you and say, hey, your name here. And if you like that design, you could use it. So some of you probably recognize that. Also seeing some other OA patches, camporee patches. These really are not super, like organized, which is totally fine. I don't think she was the scouter. I couldn't remember whether or not her husband had been in scouting at all and maybe had some exposure to the program. I didn't speak to him on the phone. I just spoke to her because it was usually, it's the family member that I talk to that sort of has the most attachment. All right, let's open up this bag as well. Looks like we have a lot of council patches here. Again, we're going to see Utah, that being a big one here. Great Salt Lake Council, just some event patches. And this is what I kind of told her, we were negotiating about the price. I said, there's a lot of patches here, but honestly, a lot of them it's kind of the same thing. And then these are all the same event patches. And so there's not necessarily a big draw for collectors for event patches like camporees and council events and things like that. Now there's more interest in things like Order the Arrow flaps, but honestly there just isn't much of that in here. So I told her I definitely could recycle these items. I could find people from Utah that would appreciate them, but there wasn't necessarily a whole lot of stuff in here that was super duper interesting to collectors. Again, another bullion patch, which probably means, again, that a professional scouter could have worn that on his blazer if he was going to some sort of a Cub Scout event. That would have fit right in. All right, two more bags we have not looked at. And again, these are so random. There's not really any rhyme or reason to how she has this set up. There's a big old back patch. Let's check that one out. Ooh, that is pretty. So El-Kutah Lodge is one of the Utah lodges, and that's a big, beautiful jacket patch they had. Looks like there's some more Order the Arrow items in this bag, which again, El-Kutah is going to be out in Utah, so several flaps from them. And then this is a lodge from Kentucky that I've seen a few of. Oftentimes with professional scouters, they kind of get around, if you will, because they have to move from council to council in order to advance. And so that is very possible that he spent some time in other areas. I'm not sure about that. I didn't really get the complete story from her. Here's a 75 NOAC patch. And I also think I saw a NOAC pin in one of those bags. So it might be that he went to that NOAC. See more council strips here. Here's a nice pretty jacket patch from Great Salt Lake. Some sewn patches. Okay, so again, here's kind of a hint. Here's a sewn patch from Lodge 166, which tells me, that probably was on Dad's uniform at some time, so maybe he served in that area. No way to tell now, but it is kind of a little bit of a clue. So again, just some generic patches here, looking to see if there's anything too interesting. Here's a couple of Jamboree shoulder strips that might be of interest to folks. All right, let's just slide that over and we'll get the last bag. Another NOAC patch here, 77. This Order the Arrow activity patch and event patch. There are plenty of camp patches. I'm not putting all the camp patches up here to show you, but I am seeing some camp patches. Obviously, that would be key to any scouting professional want to spend some time there. Here's another nice OA Conclave patch. And again, sort of what you see, you know, this is a handful of the same Scoutorama patch. And so again, just kind of gives you a clue as to what role this guy had in scouting. So just a lot of patches. That's what I seem to remember when I was messaging with her, is that there's a lot of stuff here, but some of it's not really valuable. It would be hard to kind of recycle, as I sometimes say. So I hope you enjoyed this unboxing. This is kind of a unique collection. What I will do with this collection, honestly, is I will sort everything out, probably put all of the Utah items together, all the camp items together, order the arrow, and then I can kind of tackle it like that. But there's several hundred patches here, so it'll take me some time to get through it. Thanks very much for watching the video. Jason Spangler, the SanteeSwapper. Check out my website, scoutpatchcollectors.com. I send out a weekly newsletter to scouting memorabilia collectors. I obviously have a YouTube channel if you're watching this video, and also have a podcast where I interview people in the hobby that are doing interesting things. Thank you again.